Hey everyone, it's Matt with ESC United. Just wanted to give you a quick update on what has happened in Ukraine, what has transpired. A lot of you know already, but not everyone is in the ins when it comes to the details. So keep in mind, everything I discuss here is with the utmost respect for everyone involved, Ukrainians. So if I say something that you don't like or offends you, I apologize in advance. That's not my intent. But before we go into that part, let's just backtrack for a moment and get a better understanding of what happened and then go from there. So, Vidbir is the Ukrainian national final. They've used it for many years. It took place, the final, this past Saturday, and Alina Pash was selected as the representative for Ukraine at Eurovision 22 in Turin, Italy. She won the jury vote, and she came second in the televote, but that was enough to get past the finish line and win it all. Then in second place, it was the band Kalush Orchestra with Stefania, and they were close behind, 1 point behind, coming first with the televoters, but only third with the jury. So they missed out. Then singer Wellboy and his Nazi Bussy, I guess that's what the name of the song, came third, second with the juries, third with the televoters. Shortly after all of this went down, the show, the runner-up, Kalush Orchestra, they accused the organizers of Vidbir of falsifying their results. That is a charged accusation, right? So the lead singer Ole Psyuk even claimed that the organizers of the selection had refused to speak to him after several technical difficulties that occurred while the points and the results were being announced on the live show. To give you a context, so incorrect points were given during the allocation of the televotes, and leading to a failure on the scoreboard and how the points were added. So ultimately, they could no longer use it. So the host Timur had to actually manually announce the results from a piece of paper, like we're in the 50s again. So it was unfortunate for him as well, because, he had nothing to do with it. So after the show, a video emerged where you can see Psyuk, I hope I say that name right. He was confronting a producer behind the scenes in a corridor, and then a live stream came up later, and he claimed that the producer refused to talk to him or answer his questions, and he was pretty upset about that, and even stated that he would go as far as actually getting this to court, the broadcaster, so basically suing them, right? That's a pretty drastic measures there. He felt very strongly about, I guess, what had happened. So UAPBC, the Ukrainian broadcaster, as well as their audit partner, PwC, they maintain that the results are valid and accurate. Basically, there were technical difficulties, yes, and that, on the other hand, did not affect the actual outcome. It was unrelated. It was just a human error in the whole system thing. So that it what comes down. So that should not be affected by it. But still, Yaroslav Lodehin, he's the chairman of the organizing committee of Vidbir, as well as apparently a judge in the competition. He, good faith offer, basically said that he would step down from his position going forward. And we don't have the results, actually, of the detailed results of Vidbir 2022 yet, but that is supposed to be revealed in the coming days. So if that wasn't all bad enough, there is more going on. Let's explain this. So what happened was we had the situation in 2019. Maroof, she won Vidbir and then also had to withdraw. So they had to... She withdrew from her participation, and then ultimately Ukraine completely withdrew from the contest that year as well. And that had to do with her traveling from Russia to Crimea, but using the Russian border. And that is against the law in Ukraine, a law they feel very strongly about since the annexation of Crimea by Russia. So they introduced a new rule starting 2020, which bars artists who have performed in Russia since 2014, so just performed in Russia or have entered Crimea, in violation of legislation of Ukraine, from entering the competition. So you cannot have performed in Russia at all since 2014, since this all went down. So what happened was, a couple of days ago, so on the 14th of February, a video blogger, as well, he's an activist, called Serhiy Stenenko, alleged that Alina had entered Crimea, as pointed out, from the Russian border. And on top of it, counterfeited her travel documentation with her team in order to take part in Vidbir. Again, a very charged accusation. So the broadcaster, what happened? They subsequently stated that they would request from the Ukrainian State Border Guard Service, making sure and verify the information is forged or not, so they know. Until that point, Alina would not officially be the Ukrainian representative at the contest. So she was basically in a holding pattern. The Guard Service kept saying that, and they maintained that the certificate that was handed to the broadcaster was not issued by them, but that a request was made to cross the border by the artist at that time, and that the broadcaster would be provided with additional information after the investigation has been completed. There was supposed to be a meeting on February the 18th to actually discuss the situation surrounding Vidbir. A lot has happened since that announcement was made, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So initially, Alina's management addressed the accusations, stating that she entered Crimea from the Ukrainian border and that the certificate has been requested by a team member rather than Pash herself. But then Alina said in an Instagram post that the State Border Guard Service had not been able to provide her with the new certificate. She was unable to get it as proof of her entrance to Crimea. She requested it after all of this happened. She was told that it's no longer available because all information are being purged after 5 years. And then shortly after, she announced that she would withdraw her candidacy as a Ukrainian representative. Therefore, she is not going to Turin for Ukraine, unfortunately. And shortly after, the broadcaster also stated that according to the rules of Vidbir, the broadcaster will reserve the right to select another representative among other competing artists in the selection. So it doesn't mean that second place is a guaranteed ticket to Eurovision, but anyone in the lineup could potentially be chosen. And as I previously mentioned, this is not the first time that this happened. In 2019, the singer Maruf, she withdrew her 2019 candidacy basically for the exact same reasons and accusations. The broadcaster offered her spot to other artists that took part in the national final. They declined, and then Ukraine eventually withdrew from the 2019 contest completely, so they were not even taking part at all. At this point, at the time of the recording of this video at least, we do not know who will represent Ukraine, but hopefully we'll find out soon by the end of this week. Now, the obvious option, Kalush Orchestra, they finished as runner-ups and even won the televote, but they have been fairly antagonizing towards the broadcaster. Maybe they left a bitter aftertaste in their mouth. I'm not sure what their relationship looks like right now. So again, lots and lots of question marks, but this just in a nutshell is what has transpired, and this is how we ended up in this mess that we're in right now. So let's talk about more from my perspective and opinions. Again, I'll try to be as respectful as humanly possible. I know it's a tough topic, but the first thing I want to point out is, unlike 2019, we don't have the same level of solidarity amongst the artists when it comes to this. Because the band, I think, at least my understanding, Kalush Orchestra is very keen going to Eurovision. So if they were to be chosen, they might just go ahead and do that. Only time will tell, though. So it's a little different dynamic that we're talking about now. Of course, this is just overall a very unfortunate place that we're all in for different reasons. And I mean, number one, nobody likes to see politics at Eurovision, right? And I know what some of you are saying, well, they've always been politics. I understand that. I'm just saying it's a different kind of level we're talking here about. Not saying it's unjustified or justified right now. It just sucks. It just sucks, right? We all agree on that. I think most of us do. Then number two is Alina's song was immensely popular among the fans, the betting odds, and all of that stuff. Some people call it a potential Eurovision winner. That's how popular it was. So it's a little bit too early to say, but a lot of international support for the song. So they are, of course, very, very sad about the outcome. They were number 2 in the betting odds as of this morning. Now, at number 3, also, it's like we've seen this movie before. 2019 with Maruf. So it feels as nothing has changed, and it's just very frustrating for us as well. But for everyone involved, of course. I don't live in Ukraine, and I'm not a subject matter expert on this. So take it with a grain of salt, what I'm saying. Only what I can do is share things from my perspective and help you understand where I'm coming from. But it's always with the uttermost respect for everyone in Ukraine and involved. I'm Here, just talking as a fan of the contest, but it saddens me deeply. That's basically, in a nutshell, how I feel about it. Obviously, in the bigger picture, it's only entertainment, I guess you can say, right? It's certainly nothing compared to the issue that the country is currently facing. It's just a minor thing. In the bigger picture, yes, but we're still talking about people's careers and livelihoods are affected by this. So it is a little bit more than just nothing. But I understand there is context. And two things can be true here, according to me. Number one, Alina did not follow the rules. And number two, this is more of a hit job. And let me elaborate on that. So one of the things I'm saying, it seems as there is some legitimacy to those claims, even though we don't know for sure. But when you look at the facts that we have, and especially one of the statements that were made in the past. Let me explain. When asked during a fashion week in 2019, so a little over 3 years ago, now gosh, time flies, she was asked the question, there are pictures of your post which implies that you visited Russia and Crimea and also flew from Moscow and broke Ukrainian law with it. And she answered that she was invited to sing at a Ukrainian wedding and that they took a flight there and she cannot fix the moment. She was powerless in this case, and that she wasn't famous at that point in time, didn't know the consequences that would all bring. So it seems as if you listen to previous statements, they're trying to walk back on them. So I understand why people are like, come on, you said it, right? So, and some of the other things that we've seen and heard, it seems as those accusations may be legit. And that does suck, because he makes the point like, I don't know, I just traveled. You know, it's probably, I don't know how good of an excuse that is, but I'm just saying, you know, I can see where someone, if it's so brand new, after everything that happened, that was just not a wise choice. Plus, it's been 6 years or 7 years now. It's a long time. I also can say, though, I can objectively say that this was clearly a hit piece on her, right? People dug out that dirt, and it reminds me just of a very negative campaign like you see in political campaigns, basically things your opponent digs out just to kind of hurt your cause and distract from everything else. I just don't know what to think about this one. Everyone has an opinion, and my opinion is I'm just truly saddened by this outcome. I understand Ukraine's circumstances, the political climate. It's very different, it's unique, I cannot speak to that, but I always know once you start this, it just starts snowballing, because there are now, you know, I don't know how far this will going to go, but a 2015 Instagram post by the runner-up Kalush Orchestra, a member of the team at least, surfaced. And sure enough, it was portraying the musician in Russia in front of the St. Basil's Cathedral. So then the band's management has to come forward and saying, this picture has been taken before 2014 and was only posted in 2015. And that he mentioned that they traveled there in 2013, but not since that date. So they're denying and declining that. So I'm not saying he's lying or anything, because why would he, right? But the point is that people will keep digging. Whoever is going to go now to Eurovision, there will be people looking for all their social media posts, their past, and see if there's anything they can get on them. And that's why I'm saying it becomes just this very ugly process, which really upsets me. From a personal level or taste, I preferred actually Kalush's orchestra song over Alina's, right? So to my personal taste, I'm like, great, we would get this awesome song. But again, that was my own personal taste. And I was very, very, very happy for Alina as well, because I mean, she was so happy, and what most important, like the people loved that song. It was crazy how many international fans connected with it. So seeing them all like, yay, I'm like, how can I be sad? Plus the song still exists, you know, outside of the Eurovision bubble, so I can always listen to it. So I wasn't devastated or anything. I was just like, I really like that song. And there will be negative consequences, whatever you're trying. If Kalush Orchestra goes now, there are already a lot of fans who will boycott it and hope for 0 points at the contest from both juries and televoters. Although one thing we always need to remember and consider here, the vast majority of viewers in Europe won't know about this scandal. They just watch the performance and then decide whether to vote for it or not. Yes, maybe some commentators will briefly mention it as a side note, but it will highly unlikely have very limited to no impact on Europeans voting for the song or not voting for the song. Thinking about it, I don't know if there is a great option as of right now. It feels like it's a lose-lose situation. Unfortunately, at the same time, I don't really want Ukraine to withdraw. Actually, I don't want them to withdraw. No, don't. That would be sucky for selfless and selfish reasons, actually. Selfish reasons because, you know, they're such an integral part of Eurovision, and they always bring their A game. Other countries can learn from them on how to do Eurovision right. And for selfless reasons, because you do want them to take part. There's so much going on in the country right now, just having this little fun moment, just something light. It's just a nice thing to have. And I know a lot of fans feel that same way in Ukraine. So it would suck that they would lose out on this again over something like this. So it just sucks. I can understand, though, how many artists would say no to representing Ukraine this year. As a matter of fact, I read that Wellboy already said that he's not going to represent Ukraine this year, even if they decide to go with him. And there's always will be that cloud over your head doing this. It's just a very awkward and uncomfortable situation. And yes, the international crowds may not know or think about much of this, but the artists still live in Ukraine, perform in Ukraine, make a living in Ukraine. So it'll always be associated with them. So if I were an artist in Ukraine this year, I'd be like, this is too much. I don't want to do this. So I understand if they end up in a similar situation as they did in 2019, and that's my biggest fear. I don't want that. And as much as I love the song Stefania, I don't know. Is this the right path to go for Ukraine? I know the fans of the song will say, yes, of course, they won the televote. But I'm looking beyond that. I think it's just going to be a big mess overall. They said, the broadcaster, they can't have the right to pick anyone from Vidbir. I wish actually they could just, you know what, pick someone not associated with Vidbir this year. So at least there is not that connection anymore. Because no matter who you pick, it'll be meh. People will, that factor is kind of like lost for this year. That's what my fear is. I don't think they can do it, nor would I think that a lot of fans would be supportive of that. I think just, to me, that would be the best solution. Just completely disassociate the act from Vidbir so there is not that negative connotation there. That would be probably the best case scenario, but I do know, and I'm sure a lot of fans of the band Kalush Orchestra would disagree, and I understand because I love that song as well. So it's not for the lack of that. So these are just my thoughts on it. I think it's just highly unfortunate, and I wish there would be a good solution, but I think there is a good solution overall. But regardless of it, I will judge the song based on its own merits, whatever Ukraine decides to do, and I hope fans out there will do the same, because it's just not fair towards the artists. That's always my thinking. Eurovision is supposed to be something fun that brings people together, not rip them apart. And I feel as that is kind of what this is doing, and it sucks. It sucks. How do you feel about the situation? Please be kind. Please be respectful. This is not a light topic. Eurovision is, but we know in this particular instance there is so much more at stake. And we try to stay away from politics and all of that stuff here as much as possible. But when it affects the contest, I'm not going to be like, you know. So, anyways, as long as Ukraine stays in it, I'll be happy. I'll accept any decision. Please don't leave us, Ukraine. Don't do it. I'll find you. I stayed in Ukraine for 2.5 weeks in 2017, and it was the best time. So I'd be thrilled to go back at some point. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Talk to you all later.